Now, in our business, we spend a lot of time talking about how we go through change and how we manage ourselves and others through that process. And today, I just want to share with you a fairly light-hearted introduction, I guess, to some personality types and how they might be impacted on by this change, how to manage ourselves and others through the change on that basis, and some top tips for staying motivated at home. So first of all, let me just introduce you to the concept of personality types. For those of you who know this stuff already, forgive me, bear with me, let me just give you a very purist, very old school version of it with a bit of a story behind it. You know, personality types have been established for a long, long time, but even longer than some of you might realise. Thousands upon thousands of years ago, in tribal systems, mankind has always been fascinated by behaviour and why we're different from one another, and they started to assign personality types based on the elements to one another. So they started to describe, I guess, the different behaviours in their tribes based on the different elements that they had around them: earth, air, fire, water. So if you take Earth, for example, they would have described those of the tribal members who were doing the hunter-gatherer, protecting the camp stuff, as being like Earth, you know, solid, strong, this is what we build things upon, but also recognising that under pressure, Earth can crack, they can be volatile, they are very, what you see is what you get, honest, down to earth, etc. Those phrases come from these principles. If we take our air element, they talked about air as being clear and everywhere and all encompassing. And air is all about clarity and understanding. They are in the tribal system, they would have been the scientists, they would have been mapping the stars, working out how things worked, inventing things potentially. And very much more sort of scholarly, so possibly, you know, learning and teaching. The water element was all about nurture. So the water element in our tribal systems were the nurses and the carers and the cooks, and the parents, sort of the parent role in the camp, and were all about people and inclusion and feelings and emotions and how and taking care. And then their fire element was the entertainer in the tribe. These were the tribal members who, because fire is all about vision, you know, the campfire was their version of a TV. So it was about entertainment and storytelling and inspiration and keeping people buoyed up and engaged and energized. So if you resonate most with Earth, for example, then for you in the modern day, this means you're somebody who is about action. And that means you want to get stuff done. For you, motivation comes from achievement. So to stay motivated at home, I recommend that you give yourself some goals which are relatively short term and will satisfy you quite quickly. So you want to give yourself some tasks around the house, or some tasks in the garden, or some tasks at work, even though you're maybe working remotely, which will give you that sense of gratification quite quickly. Low-hanging fruit, I suppose. Have a look around you. What can you be getting on with? And if it's something that also requires a degree of activity, even better, because you are full of energy and you need to expend it somewhere. You might also find that you'll be needing to get out and cycle or run or do some form of exercise. If that's your bag, then being in competition with yourself is quite a healthy way to keep you motivated and engaged with the process of being at home. If you're living with somebody who has an earth preference, then keep in mind that asking them to do anything which is too convoluted, detailed, intricate, or what they would deem boring isn't going to keep them happy and motivated. So instead, remember the low-hanging fruit, short-term wins principles, and you'll keep your earth family or friend in a much better place. If you are having a bad day, Earth, then under pressure, Earth can crack. And that means that you need to give yourself something which will bring you back to a state of comfort. And if you think about earth in its truest element, it's when it's baked dry that it's most likely to crack. And what does it need? It needs water. And you'll remember that water is our element, which is gentle and nurturing and supportive and caring. So find that person in your friend or family group that can give you that little bit of love, and you'll feel a lot better for it. You tend to withdraw when you're feeling under pressure, and I recommend that you just push yourself forward and look for the help that you need. Air. Air is also very task and goal focused, as earth is, but in a very different way. Because for air, detail, intricacy, longer term planning, strategy, these are the things that work for you. So you will be happy to immerse yourself in an online course, read books, tinker with your car or your motorbike, do some sewing, maybe create some beautiful culinary masterpieces. Art is often a favourite for air, and also learning, studying, researching, at work, strategizing, research, editing, checking. You're the person who dots the I's and crosses the T's, and you're the person that we rely on to make these things perfect before they're delivered. So for you, look for things that will satisfy you academically and keep you interested and engaged with the world around you. And also you'll have a great network of like-minded friends and colleagues that you'll want to keep in touch with and have interesting discussions about particular subjects with. So give yourself the opportunity to connect with them via Zoom or Skype or whatever means you have, and to discuss and debate the things that interest you. Water. For you to stay calm, you need to be surrounded by people, and they create the shelter that you need to retain that lovely, placid, calm, mirror-like quality that we see in lakes, for example, rather than becoming a tempestuous sea that's unsettled because you're exposed. So for you, being in touch with your friends and family will be even more important than it is for others. And that means lots of Zooms and Skypes if you don't have your family around you, checking in regularly, every day probably. And the same with your colleagues. And the other thing to remember is that for you, your value is very much in your heart about what you can do for others. So where you can support your colleagues by helping them practically, that will make you feel better about yourself and more engaged in the process as well. On a bad day, you may feel that you're being underappreciated because you're a giver. And because it's all about helping others and giving to others, you may sometimes feel as if it's all take and no give back. And so at this point, it's asking for what you need, asking somebody for a little bit of love in return, and reminding them that you usually place yourself last on the list of priorities, and just this once you need to be somebody's most important person. So that brings us to fire. For fire, it's all about visualization and creativity, ideas. And so a great way to keep yourself entertained and occupied, fire, is to grab all those old magazines from around the house and create yourself some vision boards. Life post-COVID, or what I want for my next 5-10 years, or 15-20 years, whatever may be the case. Create some vision boards and put them around the place to keep you inspired and focused on what you need. To keep you motivated, you need a goal which is longer term and inspiring. It's all about inspiration. You'll also love to lose yourself in daydreams, Netflix box sets, books, fiction, whatever it may be. So give yourself that chance to do that. Lie on the grass and gaze at the sky and allow your mind to wander off into its own little fantasies, because that's part of who you are. You also, fire needs to be fanned to keep it alive, and so you need your fans around you. You need to know that people like you. It's really, really important to you. So keep in touch with people. You've got Zoom, you've got Skype, you can keep in touch, you can have a bit of chat. You probably won't want to have long extended periods of time in these chats, because for you it's like a quite short, sharp, a WhatsApp, an instant message, a quick, Skype, Facebook, Instagram, something like that. Connectivity is important to you, but not long drawn out conversations necessarily. But every now and again you will want to have that sort of bouncing ideas around high energy convo with somebody that's similar to you. So find those people and make some time to have those conversations with them. And if you're having a bad day, you're likely to be feeling a little insecure and potentially rejected. It doesn't take much. Just somebody who's worded an email in a way which isn't particularly loving, making a story in your own head that they don't like you anymore or that they find you tiresome. Be mindful of that. They don't find you tiresome. You're not annoying. They're busy. Just when you hear yourself telling yourself these stories, stop yourself and ask yourself what the realities are. What are the facts here? Just give yourself some balance, because you tend to catastrophize. So try to avoid that if you can. And just a few sort of top tips in more general terms to share with you. Whatever your element, one or the other of these, or possibly all of them, will work for you. First of all, and possibly my favourite, is the state of your bed is the state of your head. I can't remember where I saw it or read it, but I really like this, and I think it's absolutely right. Get up in the morning, have a shower, have a shave, put your face on, whatever it may be, get dressed, make your bed. I have found that creating a routine for myself through this time has just been a massive help. My personality type is such that I'm not particularly concerned with routine. Usually I prefer to be spontaneous and to take whatever's coming my way with it. I'm very happy for change to happen. But at the moment, I'm finding routine incredibly helpful. And I believe it's because we have a sense at the moment that we have no control over anything. And so wherever we can have some control, that will really be a balm for us. So I'm setting myself a schedule every day. I have a working week and I have a weekend, and I have a getting up time and a lunch time and a finishing work time. And I think that this routine has really, really helped. And whether you're working from home or not, you can still set yourself a routine. You can set yourself a during the week routine where you eat more healthily and take your exercise and do this and that and the other thing and get dressed and make your bed. And you can have a weekend routine where you slob around in your pyjamas until 11 o'clock. But create a routine that's going to work for you and satisfy you. If you're working from home, create a space that's dedicated to work, and create a working day for yourself with breaks and lunch and that sort of thing. And rules. If you wouldn't usually watch TV at work, or have the dog on your lap at work, or fiddle about with YouTube videos and Facebook at work, don't do it in your at-home work. So create the same rules for yourself at home as you would have in your office, and stick to them. And the other thing you'll need to do if you have family around you is ensure that they are also sticking to those rules, and they understand that you cannot be disturbed because you are at work. So it's hard sometimes, especially where the petting your pets is concerned. I can't tell you how many Zoom meetings I've had where people's cats have been walking across their keyboards, which is highly entertaining. But at least try. It just gives you a sense that you have some control over your working day. 3 things you absolutely must do are nourish yourself with good food, rest, try and get some decent amounts of sleep, and that will be helped by getting up and going to bed at the same time every day and taking your daily exercise. Those of us who are fortunate enough still to be allowed to go out and take the exercise should absolutely be making the most of it. And if it's part of your routine, then all the better for it. Don't give yourself a hard time. Back off a little bit. Back off, buddy. Not everybody's going to learn to be a yoga teacher in the next 3 weeks online using YouTube, or learn a new language, or lose 3 stone, or whatever else you've decided you should be able to do during this time of lockdown. Do the things that work for you. You remember your element. When you're in your element, you will be happier, more motivated, more satisfied. So keep yourself motivated and engaged with life by thinking about what's important to you, focusing on that, looking at the people around you, and understanding that one size does not fit all. Treating others the way that we like to be treated only works a quarter of the time because we're different. So treat others the way that they would like to be treated. Be mindful that we have different preferences. If you're interested in learning more about any of these aspects of personality type and how to stay motivated and engaged, working from home or otherwise, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Thank you so much.